Congratulations on your promotion. And we are recording, so whenever you're ready.
Welcome to the June 13th meeting of the Planning Commission. We'd like to start out with an invocation by Commissioner Walker, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance with Bart. Please join us.
Bow our head. Heavenly Father, bestow a spirit of unity, cooperation, and mutual respect among us. May our decisions be productive, our discussion be just, and our actions be in the best interest of this community. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Mr. Stouter, would you please announce the meeting's procedure?
Yes, sir, I'd be happy to. We do ask that you please speak clearly into the microphones so that everybody can hear. We do record these meetings and they're actually televised also, so please speak clearly into the microphone. When your name is called, we ask that you please come to the podium. Address your comments to the Planning Commission and not to the audience. Any questions you ask will be answered once everyone who has signed up has spoken. We understand that you may have strong feelings one way or another. Out of courtesy, unless it is your turn to speak, please remain silent. Please refrain from applauding, cheering, booing, or other verbal outbursts. This is a fact-finding hearing. There is no need to repeat what has already been said. If a previous speaker stated the points that you wish to make, you may simply acknowledge that so that the hearing may proceed. The applicant will be given 5 minutes to speak and present their item to the commission. Other speakers will have 3 minutes. We ask that you please respect the time limits.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sweet Dodd, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Bart Stafford,
Here?
Corey Scott,
Here.
Brian Gerke,
Here.
Garrett Collier,
Here.
Bill Lamond,
Here.
LaDonte Walker,
Here.
Puniza Sharma,
Present.
Ashley Campbell,
Here.
and Rick Raymond.
Here. Okay, next we need the approval from the meetings from last month. May I have a motion and second for approval, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, they've been accepted. Approval of agenda. We have a motion and a speaker here on the consent agenda for item number 3. And if you would like, if 2 of you commissioners would say so, we will move that to the new business.
I move that we move item number 3 to new business. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. May I have a motion and a second for approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. First matter of business is a consent agenda. And may I have a motion to second and a second to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as modified.
Correct.
Second.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sweet Dobbs, please take a roll call on the motion to approve the consent agenda.
You want me to present the,
Yeah, second.
am I supposed to present the staff report now?
Yes, we'll vote when the consent agenda has been read.
Okay, all right, go ahead with the consent agenda, please.
Okay. Item number 1 on tonight's agenda is case number CU-24-067. It is a conditional use application to construct and operate a USDA facility, which is United States Department of Agriculture, from the property located at the intersection of Piper and Glendale Streets. Applicant and property owner, Mr. Curtis Winston, requests conditional use project approval, again, to develop and operate a USDA facility from the site. The project is located at the corner of Piper and Glendale Streets with access from Malvern Avenue. The property is located in the Malvern Avenue Overlay District. It has a future land use classification of Neighborhood Commercial Center and is located in Board of Directors District Number 6. By means of a previous Planning Commission action, Planning Commission at its regularly scheduled meeting held on March 12th, 2020, considered and approved with conditions a conditional use application request to construct a self-storage facility on the subject property. This facility has not been constructed at this time. The property is currently vacant, consists of approximately 1.5 acres of land. If this request is approved, it will rescind the previous approval for the self-storage facility, and the USDA office would inherit that approval in lieu of that previous development. A complete set of site and development plans were submitted, and those plans depict the overall site layout, office layout, grading, drainage, water, sewer, erosion, and landscaping for the site. The finding is that the materials presented were reviewed by the Development Review Committee at their meeting on May 21st, 2024, and compliant revisions were provided. All elements of the application and submittal are compliant with conditions to the Hot Springs Code sections 16-2-49 and 16-2-79. The proposed office use is of a low impact nature with lighting, traffic, landscaping, and screening, and methods of operation. Therefore, staff is recommending to approve the conditional use request for this facility on the site with a number of conditions. So I will go ahead and read those conditions into the record. The development site shall be constructed, developed in strict accordance with the approved site and development plan, including but not limited to locations of buildings, drives, parking, signs, and landscaping. Number 2, all construction and construction activity are to be accomplished in strict accordance with all applicable approval conditions and with the minimum standards, codes, rules, and regulations and policies as may now or hereafter be required or enacted by the City of Hot Springs, the State of Arkansas, and or the United States of America, including the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, whether or not submitted for staff review or Planning Commission approval. Number 3, separate permit applications shall be made by applicant to Hot Springs Engineering Department, and permits shall be in hand for stormwater, drainage, and sidewalks as may be required prior to work commencement. Number 4, no development signs are being reviewed or permitted as part of this site plan review. A separate sign permit application with compliant CTR zone district and Malvern Avenue overlay standards shall be required prior to installation of any signs on this site. Condition number 5 is the applicant has an affirmative responsibility to demonstrate ongoing compliance with the conditions of this approval. The violation of any of these conditions so imposed shall constitute grounds for revocation or modification of the conditional use permit by the Planning Commission per Hot Springs Code section 16-2-79. Typical days and hours of operation for this facility will be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Upon approval, Planning Commission, the previous conditional use approval for, again, the self-storage facility will be rescinded or vacated. Condition number 8, all exterior illumination, including wall packs, shall be fully cut off, fully downcast, and retain all illumination on the subject property. Number 9, before building permits may be issued, the following shall be provided to the City of Hot Springs Engineering Department. A, sidewalks must pass through driveways with a maximum 2% cross slope, show on plans, and B, show the percent slope of the driveways. Condition number 10, construction of the proposed facility shall meet the Malvern Avenue overlay requirements for masonry facade, extending a minimum of 8 foot on each sidewall. And finally, condition number 11 is ongoing open space and landscape maintenance, including vegetative buffers, is required. Item number 2 on the consent agenda is SPA-24-068, has an address of approximately 120 Cracker Box Lane. It is a large-scale development site plan review application for the construction of a medical clinic building. Applicant John Rogers with Craft and Toll, representing property owners Tim Winston and Hot Springs Heart and Vascular Corp., seek large-scale development site plan approval to construct an additional medical clinic on the subject property. The property consists of 1.64 acres of land, is zone C4, has a future land use classification of linear commercial corridor, and is located in Board of Directors District Number 3. The property is currently developed with a single heart and vascular clinic building. This request again seeks approval to add an additional clinic building to the site. Complete site and development plans were submitted that depicts overall site layout, grading, drainage, water sewer, fire protection, erosion, landscaping, and lighting. The finding on this request is that the application requirements have been met, and the submitted documents successfully demonstrate that all individual elements of review appear complete and accurately depict the development, and with conditions, the project can be implemented in compliance with applicable codes and ordinances. Therefore, the staff recommendation is recommendation for approval for the construction of this site with the following conditions, and there's 7 of those, so I'll read those into the record. Number 1, all construction and construction activity are to be accomplished in strict accordance with the approved site and development plans, as well as with all applicable approval conditions, and with the minimum standards, codes, rules, and regulations, policies as may now here or hereafter be required or enacted by the City of Hot Springs, State of Arkansas, United States of America, including the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, whether or not submitted for staff review or Planning Commission approval. Number 2, separate permit applications shall be made by applicant to Hot Springs Engineering Department, and permits shall be in hand for stormwater, drainage, sidewalks as may be required prior to commencement of work. Number 3, before building permits shall be issued, the applicant shall provide retaining wall plan and profiles to the engineering department. Number 4, before building permits shall be issued, utilities department requires 2 conditions be met. A, existing water meter needs to be moved out of the new pavement to a grassy area. And B, applicant needs to indicate a water service line to the new building with a water meter and an irrigation meter if one is planned. Number 5, separate sign permit application review and approval, and a permit shall be required prior to installation of any signs on the site. Number 6, all site lighting shall be fully downcast, fully shielded, and designed so that all artificial illumination will be retained on the site. And number 7, multiple building or large-scale site plan approval by Planning Commission shall be effective from 1 year from the date of approval, which means that it will be effective until June the 13th of 2025. Prior to its expiration, the Director of Planning and Development may extend the original site plan approval for up to 2 one-year periods upon the applicant's written request. Planning Commission approval of any project that has not fully secured all required permits within the period of time set forth shall be null and void. And that concludes the items on consent agenda.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ms. Sweet Dobbs, would you please call the roll for approval of the consent agenda?
Yes, sir. Bill Lamond,
Approve.
LaDonte Walker,
Approved.
Garrett Collier,
Approve.
Brian Gerke,
Approve.
Corey Scott,
Approve.
Bart Stafford,
Approve.
Ashley Campbell,
Approve.
Puniza Sharma,
Approve.
and Rick Raymond.
Approve. Okay, the next matter of business is new business, and we have moved item number 3 from consent agenda to new business. So, Mr. Stoddard, would you please introduce the next item?
Yes, sir. Item number 3 is PS-24-069. Property is located at 5302 and 5308 Central Avenue. This request is a preliminary plat and a large-scale development site plan application for the construction of a multi-building townhome development.
Okay, will the applicant please come forward?
Motion and second to bring it to the floor,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
motion second to bring it forward.
Move we approve, bring it, item number 3, PS 24-069 forward for consideration.
Thank you.
For a second.
Second. All in favor?
Okay, I'll go ahead and finish the staff report now, if
Okay.
that's okay. So applicant Aaron Burris with Atoka Inc. seeks preliminary plat and Article 2 large-scale site plan development approval to develop a 25-unit townhome development on this approximately 2-acre site. The development is classified as both a large-scale development and a preliminary plat, as the owner wants the option for townhomes to be sold and owned individually. This property is located outside Hot Springs city limits, within the city's adopted planning area, and has a future land use classification of residential suburban. The property consists of lots 9 and 10 in Block D of Point Lookout subdivision and contains 2 acres of lands. These properties have approximately 213 foot of frontage on Central Avenue and approximately 202 foot of frontage on Lake Hamilton. Each lot is currently developed with a single-family residence with addresses of 5302 and 5308 Central Avenue. Both residences are planned for demolition as part of the redevelopment of this site. The project is to be known as Lake Hamilton Townhomes. Submitted site and development plans are complete and depict the overall existing property with existing and proposed structures and improvements. These improvements include, but are not limited to, site plan, property survey, utilities, access, fire protection, landscaping, lighting, and traffic impact review. The project is to be constructed in one phase and will contain 3 multifamily residential structures totaling, again, 25 total units. Project was reviewed by the City's Development Review Committee on Tuesday, December the 21st. Project was discussed in detail with the engineer, and needed plan revisions were documented. Revised site and development plans were submitted addressing the comments received by the deadline. City staff, county staff, and the Lake Hamilton Fire Department reviewed the revised plans and provided comments. This application does seek a variance from the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code driveway grade requirements. Engineer Aaron Burris consulted with Lake Hamilton Fire and Rescue Fire Marshal Mr. Bill Heck regarding fire apparatus access and turnaround for the project. Based on their discussions, a revised driveway grade and turnaround slope plan was provided to Fire Marshal Heck for his review. The revised driveway grade and turnaround slope plan illustrates a 12.5% and a 16.7% driveway grades and turnaround slopes of 1%. Lake Hamilton Fire Department reviewed the revised plans and provided comments via an email from Fire Marshal Heck, which is dated June 2nd, 2023, which is included in your packet, which states in part, "We approve this project as presented. Please contact us with any questions you may have. Thank you." So the finding for this application is that it does meet the submission requirements for such a request. The above discussion of facts demonstrates how the site and development plans as amended comply with the requirements of Hot Springs Code Section 16-4-22 and other Hot Springs codes applicable to this review, subject to compliance with conditions of approval. So therefore, our recommendation is to approve the project for preliminary plat and Article 2 large-scale development site plan for Lake Hamilton Townhomes with 9 conditions. And I will read those into the record. Development site shall be constructed, developed in strict accordance with the approved site and development plan, including but not limited to locations of buildings, drives, fire hydrant, utility lines, lighting, driveway slopes and grades, grooved concrete, parking, and landscaping. 2, all construction and construction activities are to be accomplished in strict accordance with all applicable approval conditions and with the minimum standards, codes, rules, regulations, and policies as may now hereafter be required or enacted by the City of Hot Springs, the State of Arkansas, and or the United States of America, including the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code, whether or not submitted for staff review or Planning Commission approval. Number 3 is to approve the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code driveway grade variance request as approved by the Lake Hamilton Fire and Rescue Fire Marshal Bill Heck, as documented on his June the 3rd, 2024 email. Number 4, water and sewer permits will be held in abeyance until finished retaining wall plans and profiles designed and stamped by an Arkansas Registered Professional Engineer have been submitted to the City of Hot Springs Engineering Department. The design engineer will be responsible for field inspections, inspecting the construction of the retaining walls, and must provide signed inspection reports showing that the walls are constructed to the engineer's design. Number 5, provide retaining wall plan with walls labeled/numbered and include details for each. Number 6, show the labeled numbered walls on the site plan. Number 7, prior to work beginning, separate permit applications shall be made to Garland County Stormwater and Garland County 911 addressing. Number 9, any exterior lighting shall be fully downcast, shielded, and of the full cutoff variety as to retain all illumination on the subject property. And number 9, approved large-scale development site plan application shall be effective for 1 year from the date of Planning Commission approval, which would make this expire on June 13th, 2025. Prior to this expiration of the date, the Director of Planning and Development may extend the original site plan approval for up to 2 1-year periods upon the applicant's written request. And that completes the staff report on this item.
Okay. Will the applicant please come forward and give us your name and address, please, for the record? You have 5 minutes.
My name is Aaron Burrows. I'm the engineer of record on the project. The owner is Mr. Kevin Oife Wong and his wife Cheryl. They're here today too. They drove up from Dallas to be here for the meeting. Basically, Rick's already read the description of the project. Basically, we've got a 200 by 400 foot lot. It's currently occupied by 2 residential homes that will be raised and removed. The design includes 7 townhomes on the lake and then 2 buildings on the upper level. Each of the 2 buildings will have 9 condominium type units. The project will be a horizontal property regime, which will allow the owner, Mr. Wong and Cheryl, to sell individual lots if they want to or retain ownership. But they will have that opportunity to sell individual units similar to other condominium HPR type projects on Lake Hamilton. So there's a total of 25 units. We have presented a master plan for managing for the property owners with bylaws. The surrounding properties adjacent to the property immediately east of our property is Southbridge condominiums, and then further east of that is Staybridge Hotel and Highway 7 South coming across Lake Hamilton. South of our project is the Baymont Hotel. West of our project are 2 property owners, the Plumleys and the Harrises, own properties immediately west of us, and then beyond that there's some more residential properties, and then a large condominium project, South Shore condominiums, further west of us. We have demonstrated a full site layout. We've provided 50 parking spaces, 2 parking spaces per unit for each of the 25 units. We've provided a landscape plan showing how that our landscaping does meet landscape points of typical projects in the city of Hot Springs based on the number of parking spaces. We have met fire code. We've coordinated directly with Mr. Bill Heck and met with him on site several times. The property is steep right now, the way the highway department left it to the streets, very steep. The driveways that are there are at about a 20% slope, which is unacceptable for fire department. Typically a 10% slope is required. He has agreed that he would allow us to do a 12.5% slope. We will be cutting about 10 feet off the top of the hill to bring it down to a level adjacent. Is it my 5 minutes?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't think it'd been that long, but so it will bring it down to a level compatible with the adjacent properties to our east. We will be extending water mains to the property. We'll provide 2 fire hydrants and have to extend water main. We're looking at a couple of different options, and we presented those 2 options on our drawings. We will have parking lot lighting in the project, and we did do a traffic study looking at line of sight and vehicular traffic. And so we've done our homework. We've presented a full set of plans, and Mr. Wong's ready to move forward with the project. He's done other projects. He lives in Dallas now, but he was a resident in Hot Springs. He had I think it's the King's, I believe it was King's Restaurant you had, was that right? King's, yeah, I had King's Restaurant downtown, which is right in front of where Planet Fitness is now. So he is a resident. He's owned properties here since that time. That's basically the project. If you have any other questions, we'll be available to answer those as needed. If you have any now, I can answer those.
No. Thank you, Aaron,
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have someone signed up to speak, Jamie Pratt. Please come forward and give us your name and your address, please, sir, for the record.
My name is James M. Pratt Jr. I go by the name of Jamie. I am a relatively new resident of Hot Springs. I practiced law for some 50 years in El Dorado and Camden. My family is in the process of moving up here, and we're very happy and excited about that. I am here tonight just to make certain that I understand that, let me first say that my clients have not been able to see anything that enough to make them comfortable about what is being done next door to them. I understand that this is a preliminary plat and large-scale development site plan application, and I guess I'm smart enough to understand that you got to get an application before anybody has enough sense or knowledge to object or not. And so I am here tonight out of an abundance of caution. I want you to know that my clients very likely will be objecting to some portions, if not all, of what is being proposed. And I don't want to take up any more time. If I've let you know my position and my client's position, I think I'll be done unless someone has questions.
And who are your clients in this case?
Well, it's a large number of people that live at 5300 Central Avenue, which is just next door to the property that is in question here. There are probably 50 members of that organization that object to this.
And they're all your clients in this?
That is
concern?
correct. I have been retained to represent them in this matter. And I was only retained in the last 24 hours. That's my excuse for being here now, bothering you, but that is the way it has developed.
Okay.
So,
Anybody else?
would you clarify is that the condo project
Yes,
next door
it
that he
is.
referred to?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
And do you I guess I'm questioning if you've only formed with this group in 24 hours. Do you understand the actions, like you and your clients understand the actions that are before us today and ramifications, and this is the time to make complaints, and what opportunities you have may be limited otherwise? Or,
Well, I'm certainly not in a position to do that this evening. I would ask that, I don't want to get in the way of whatever progress is appropriate, but I would certainly like an opportunity to look at this, research the law, and I will not try to drag this out, but I would ask that we have an opportunity to look at it and see whether or not we want to or should try to object.
I would ask perhaps if Rick would just outline the process here for him, since he's a new community
Well-
member, and what recourse they may have if we approve this evening.
Well, I mean, we produce this packet like we produce every packet. Everything we have is posted on the internet, you know, online. All of our information is subject to freedom of information, so we share plans readily when requested. So information has been made public, again, for over a week. I understand you're just now being retained in pretty short order, and it kind of puts you, behind the 8 ball a little bit. But it would totally be up to the commission whether they want to entertain the thought of tabling this for, a period of time, for another month, whether, that's totally their decision. If they do act tonight and that decision is rendered, then their decision is appealable to the Board of Directors within 30 days. All decisions of Planning Commission are appealable within that 30-day window of time.
I understand
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
And I appreciate you explaining that to me.
So,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Brad, do you have a specific request of the commission at this time?
I do not,
Okay.
other than to let you know that my clients, to the extent that they have information about this, and I think some of this is limited, although you have indicated that certainly there's some information online. I think that I can get ready and work on this as quickly as I need to. I guess I'm here out of, as I said, out of an abundance of caution in case something develops that maybe is not known now or has not been done that would cause us to want to come back and try to reopen this or whatever other options we have.
Well, again, if you disagree with our decision, you have 30 days to appeal to the Board of Directors,
I understand.
and you can go through the
And
planning
if that,
commission.
if that's the way it needs to go, I appreciate that information and we'll go that way.
Thank you, sir.
I would ask if Mr. Burrows has any response to that or request to make of us.
Yeah, good, yeah. I'm sympathetic with his position of just being retained today, but we have tried to communicate and have communicated with Southbridge Condos going back 3 months or more, several months. We've been communicating. In fact, we even worked on an agreement. They were working on putting a privacy fence up between the two properties. There was some discrepancy on where the property line was. We retained another surveyor to check that property line and correct it. And during all this course of conversation, we did not try and hide from them our intention to develop it into a condominium type development similar to what they have next door. So I don't see any need to table it any further. Mr. Wong asked if he needed to have an attorney present tonight. I said probably not tonight. Wouldn't be necessary tonight. But the condos next door, we also able to come to an agreement about removing the dirt. Again, there's a hilltop behind their property, and they were trying to match the adjacent properties on ours that were higher. And Mr. Wong paid to have a contractor come in and lower those elevations to make it more compatible for our development and also more compatible for them, where the fence line was on a better grade, 6 feet lower than what it would have been if they'd put it on top of where the property line was to begin with. And so we've been in communication with Mr. Steve Cook, I think is the POA president, and communicated with him, so he's aware of it. And we've also tried to communicate with the properties next door, the Plumleys in particular, and providing them plans and information so they knew what we were doing, and met with them as recently as Sunday to talk about what we were doing and how the adjacent property grades and retaining walls will be handled.
Thank you.
I have no reason to say that what has been said here is not the truth. I just say to you, as I tried to say in the very beginning, I've just been hired. I know that is a situation that is nobody's fault perhaps but my clients. Yet I just want to try to protect the ability to take some action, and y'all have told me about the appeal process, and I suspect unless I learn something different, that it is the way we will have to go, and if that's correct, we will.
Okay.
I have no desire to stop you from doing your job here.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Am I excused?
You're excused.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the public portion of the meeting is now closed. Commissioners, any more questions before we vote on this?
No.
Okay. Ms. Sweet Dot, please call the roll on the motion to approve.
Yes, sir. LaDonte Walker,
Approve.
Bill Lamond,
Approved.
Bart Stafford,
Approve?
Corey Scott,
Approve.
Garrett Collier,
Approve.
Brian Gerke,
Approve.
Kuniza Sharma,
Approve.
Ashley Campbell,
Approve.
and Rick Raymond.
Approve. The item has been approved. Next item, please, Mr. Stoner.
Yes, sir. Item number 4 on tonight's agenda is RZ-24-055. This is a request to change zoning from R4 to CTR for Lot 1, Block 6 in McGowan subdivision. Entertain a motion and second to bring it to the floor for discussion.
Okay, please, need a motion and a second to bring it to the floor for discussion.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. Mr. Stoner, please.
Present the staff report. Yes, sir. Applicant and property owner, Mr. John Stanley, seeks CTR commercial transitional zoning for approximately .045 acres of land located at the intersection of Cypress and Butterfield Streets. Subject property is currently zoned R4, has a future land use designation of residential medium high, and is located in Board of Directors District Number 1. As far as site and vicinity analysis, the subject property is currently undeveloped and vacant. Property has approximately 56 feet of street frontage on Cypress and 190 feet of frontage along Butterfield. Cypress and Butterfield Streets come off of East Grand Avenue in close proximity to what I refer to as the hamburger stand. Subject property also touches Rosewall Street on the rear boundary with an approximate width of 56 feet. So property surrounding the subject to the west is C4 Regional Commercial Open Display Zoning and East Grand Avenue, which is Highway 270 or 70 East. Properties to the south are zoned CTR Commercial Transitional. To the north is C4 Regional Commercial, and to the east is R4 Medium High Density Residential. Nearby land uses include, but are not limited to, retail, restaurant, single-family residential, apartment building, hotel, and self-storage facility. The proposed rezoning request responds to the required findings in the following way. The requested change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding zoning or development. The applicant's narrative states the property currently has a C4 property to the right, which is a resale shop, and a CTR zone property to the left, which is not currently being used. Directly in front of the property is a hotel, Red Roof Inn, and a hamburger stand, as well as another hotel across Grand Avenue. The property tip touches Grand Avenue, which gives the property full view of that state highway. The property appears to have been vacant for many years with no use. Due to the amount of traffic on Grand, it would be well suited to be zoned CTR. End quote. The requested CTR zoning would be compatible with surrounding development and zoning, as well as its proximity or close proximity to Grand Avenue. If rezoned to CTR, the property would be afforded the complete list of permitted and conditional uses as detailed in the table of permitted uses found in Hot Springs Code Section 16-2-152. The property's future land use classification of residential medium high is not compatible with the requested CTR zone. Other CTR zone properties in the vicinity have future land use designations of convenience commercial. So zoning map amendment finding to planning commission is that the applicant does successfully demonstrate that the standards for favorable consideration have been met. Planning commission is able to establish a basis for recommending to the board of directors that the proposed change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding zoning and development. Therefore, we do recommend that you recommend the board of directors adopt an ordinance amending the zoning map by designating the subject property CTR because the change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding zoning and development, and to amend the future land use map by designating the subject property convenience commercial. And that concludes the staff report.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here today? Okay, so,
Yeah, the applicant's present.
okay.
Yeah, please come to the mic,
Yeah,
sir,
please,
and give your name and address.
My name is John Stanley, 127 Flamingo Lane here in Hot Springs. So I'm the owner of this property, making the request.
Anything you'd like to add to the report?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. There's no one signed up to speak.
No.
Pardon me?
Nobody signed up.
Oh, nobody signed up.
No.
That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, Ms. Sweetdog, please call the roll on the motion to approve.
Yes, sir. Ashley Campbell,
Approve.
Puniza Sharma,
Approve.
Bart Stafford,
Approve.
Corey Scott,
Approved.
Brian Gerke,
Approve.
Garrett Collier,
Approve.
Bill Lamond,
Approve.
LaDontae Walker,
Approve.
and Rick Ramick.
Approve. Thank you. We have one more, number 5.
Pardon me? I think Commissioner Gerke's going to recuse himself from this item
On number
as
5?
he's got a conflict.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. We'll come get you when it's over.
Okay, can we please have the staff report?
Are you going to be introduced the last item? Yes,
Number
sir.
5, yes.
Okay, the final item on tonight's agenda is RZ-24-056. The property address is 209 Carpenter Dam Road. This request seeks to change zoning from R2 suburban residential to C3, which is office neighborhood commercial, for approximately 1.25 acres of land. And again, that property is located at 209 Carpenter Dam Road. Entertain a motion and a second to bring it to the floor for
Okay.
discussion.
Can we have a motion bring it to the floor, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, you like the staff report now?
Yes, sir, please, staff report.
Okay. Applicant Ms. Patricia Welch, representing the estate of Clara Runes, seeks C3 office/neighborhood commercial zoning for approximately 1.25 acres of land located at 209 Carpenter Dam Road. The subject property is currently zoned R2, which is suburban residential, has a future land use classification of neighborhood commercial center, and is located in Board of Directors District Number 6. By means of an update to the application, after the application was submitted, a Mr. Alex Modi purchased this property from the Claire S. Runes estate on May the 10th, 2024. Information was included in your packet documenting that ownership transfer. The application was amended with Mr. Mooney's signature, who is the new owner, and was reflected by his signature on the application on May 21st of this year, as he desires to continue to seek the requested C3 zoning. As far as site and vicinity analysis, the subject property is currently developed with a 1,436 square foot single-family residence. The property consists of 1.25 acres of land, has approximately 150 foot of frontage on Carpenter Dam Road. Property is situated between Malvern Avenue and the busy Martin Luther King Jr. Expressway. Property surrounding the subject to the west is M1, Light Manufacturing District. South is C3, Office Neighborhood Commercial. North is Office/Neighborhood Commercial. and to the east is R2 suburban residential. Adjacent and nearby land uses include, but are not limited to, office, medical clinic, state police headquarters, manufacturing facility, restaurant, retail, financial institution, and single-family residential. Hot Springs Code Section 16-211E lists specific findings for zoning change consideration. The proposed zoning change request responds to these findings in the following way. The zone change request demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development zoning. The applicant's narrative states in part, firstly, it's essential to note that all properties adjacent to 209 Carpenter Dam on each side are already zoned C3 commercial. This creates a logical continuity in land use and ensures consistency within the area. Rezoning this specific property to C3 commercial would not only streamline the zoning pattern, but also foster a harmonious and cohesive environment for both residents and businesses alike. The requested C3 zoning would be compatible with surrounding development and zoning, as well as the proximity to Malvern Avenue and the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Expressway, and which can facilitate commercial development. The applicant's narrative also states, moreover, this request is in line with the long-term vision of the city's development as indicated by future land use maps showing the eventual transition of this property to commercial zoning. By proactively rezoning 209 Carpenter Dam now, we are not only adhering to this future vision, but also facilitating smoother transitions and minimizing potential disruptions in the future. The City of Hot Springs future land use map does designate this property as neighborhood commercial center. The requested C3 zoning is compatible with the current existing future land use map designation. Therefore, a future land use map amendment would not be required. Again, the request is consistent with future land use zoning or designation. As far as a future land use map, the property's future land use classification of neighborhood commercial center, again, is compatible with the requested C3 zoning. Zoning map amendment finding to Planning Commission is that the application does successfully demonstrate that the standards for favorable consideration have been met. Planning Commission is able to establish a basis for recommending to the Board of Directors that the proposed change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning and is compatible with the property's future land use map designation of neighborhood commercial center. So we recommend that you recommend the Board of Directors adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning map by designating the property C3 because the change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding zoning and development and is consistent with the property's future land use map designation. And that concludes the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant please come forward and give your name and address for the record and let us know if you would like to add anything. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Alex Moody, property owner 209 Carpenter Dam. There'll be a future planning for the business, put in a strip center or something like that. That will be in the future goal of the property. Because surrounding property, I own the 2 lots right next to each other, so that's what we're going to try to get a little bigger lot ready for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do you need address or anything?
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
thanks, sir.
Okay, we have a Mr. Hamilton that would like to address us. Please give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My name's Trevor Hamilton, and I'm with representative of Alliance Rubber Company, which is right across the road there from Mr. Modez's property. We have no issues with it being rezoned whatsoever. Our main issue is going to be the traffic in that particular area, with it just being a 2-lane road. And I'm not sure that this is the time to bring this up, and I don't know if or when they are talking about making that a 4-lane. We would like to have in that area a flashing yellow light because the driveways are right there together. And you top that hill, I mean, you can see on the pictures, it is very dangerous. There's been many wrecks there in that small stretch of road from 210 to the bypass. That's our only concern, and I realize that after tonight that this is probably not the place to bring this up, but we would like to have some kind of a flashing yellow light in that area for dangerous intersections, maybe just to get people's attention to, hey, we might want to slow down right here. So that's all that I have. If y'all have any more questions for me.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Any
thank you.
questions?
If you'd like to contact the planning department tomorrow, we can try to put you in contact with our traffic services department.
Yes, I've given her my card and contact information.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Ms. Sweet Dove, please call roll on the motion to approve.
Yes, sir. Ladante Walker,
Approve.
Garrett Collier,
Approve.
Punisa Sharma,
Approve.
Bill Lamond,
Approve.
Corey Scott,
Approve.
Bart Stafford,
Approve.
Ashley Campbell,
Approve.
and Rick Ramick.
Approve? Okay, the item is approved. Next on our agenda is the director's report. Mr. Starr, please present the director's report.
Yes, sir. Okay, so work is been ongoing on the Code Forward project. As y'all know, that's the big code rewrite that we've been working on. We've conducted multiple meetings with Camiros, our design consulting team, over the past probably 6 weeks. We've been doing that via Zoom. We've been looking at the current zoning map with an emphasis on looking at all of the different properties in the city that have split zoning on them. And you might be amazed at the number that are really there. I mean, it was in the hundreds. It was in the hundreds, so.
I think it was like 700, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Something
it's a
like that?
lot. I mean, it was a lot. It took several 3 or 4 hour sessions to kind of work our way through those. And we finally got there. So we're at least through that stage of it, so we feel pretty good about, we would like to correct as many of those lot split issues as possible with the adoption of the new code and the adoption of the new map. So those things kind of give us fits at times. People come in to do development, and the front half is on this, and the rear half is that, and then you don't really know what to do. So we're trying to resolve that matter to the extent feasible. The second public draft, they are currently working on that as well. We have an anticipated release date of that second public draft for Wednesday, July the 31st. So that work is ongoing, and again, that is the date that we anticipate being able to release the second public draft. Shortly thereafter, I'm assuming we're going to start having meetings with Planning Commission. It will ultimately be up to Planning Commission to either recommend approval of it or recommend changes, but there will be hearings here in this room with the public, et cetera. So we are quickly approaching, the time where we're going to start having those meetings. So anyway, just wanted you to know that work has been ongoing. It's something that we are always focused on, and we are working on it. We do want to mention that July is the month where officers are elected for Planning Commission. So that will be on your next month's meeting agenda. So please be thinking about if you are so nominated, whether you would be, willing to serve in a chair or a vice chair capacity. Those are really the two officers that are elected. And there's nothing wrong with re-electing current ones. Well, we are currently without chair as Carrie Hobby term limited off. So Mr. Ramick, as vice chair, has been graciously setting in and filling that role. And when he's not able to, Mr. Ladante Walker, our senior commissioner, is doing it when he can't. But so next month, just be thinking about that, if you will, and who you might want to nominate, and then if you're willing to serve, if so nominated. And then I guess the final thing is we had a flash drive in front of each of your stations there That contains the copy of the Hot Springs Housing Strategy. We worked with a company called RKG for several months developing it. It's got tons of data, tons of information. It's got some really sound strategies and steps that need to be taken to start trying to address some of our affordable housing needs. Not just affordable housing. I mean, we're kind of lacking in housing in all economic segments, but really on the low or affordable side, it's really, most prominent. So it's good reading. Lots of information there. So thought that we would share that with Planning Commission and give y'all an opportunity to review that. It's on the website too, but sometimes it's easier just to put it in your hand in a flash drive. So that's really all I had to report on tonight, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
Vice Chairman.
Does anyone have anything else for the good of the group?
Yeah, just quick question on the review of the split zone lots. What will be the outcome of that review? Are those all going to be corrected, so to speak? And if so, are they communicated to the owners? And
Yeah, I
seems
mean,
like that's a pretty big project.
it is a huge project, and when you go to fiddling around with someone's zoning, it's pretty,
Absolutely. Yeah.
the vast majority of these are back in the day, and it's not unique to Hot Springs. When cities first initiate zoning, a lot of times they say, well, what's our busiest streets? Okay, Central Avenue, just use that as an example, or Albert Pike. We think everything from the center line, 300 feet either way, should be commercially zoned. Okay, that was called strip zoning. But that's the way a lot of zoning maps for cities were initially developed, especially on the commercial side. So what you see is as the road bends, a lot of times you see the zone district just kind of does that with the road. So that's evidence that that's what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that didn't take into any account whatsoever parcel boundaries, ownerships, things like that. So, it may just be a little corner of a lot that's zoned residential when 99% of it is commercial. So a lot of those are just cleanup things that more than likely owners aren't going to care about. And I will say there are some of them that are split zone that we just, after thorough review, we just said this one just probably needs to stay split. So I'd probably say 90% of the ones that we looked at, and it's in the hundreds. I mean, probably 500 to 700 total. Maybe 10% of those we just said, this probably just needs to stay the way it is. But having 50 of those instead of 750 is and there's going to be public hearings where the public's going to come.
Okay.
They're going to have opportunities to review and comment and all that good stuff. So, but we did want to seize this opportunity to try and fix as many of those split zoned issues as we could.
Okay.
Yeah.
One question then, you also have a number of properties that the old zoning has been eliminated.
Yeah.
A lot of those transfer directly to other things, but some of them don't, and then you have some new zones, so I presume, is that still to be done, to identify that type of list in the same way?
Yeah, well, when you adopt a new code, especially if you adopt new district structure, there's a transition table.
Right.
So, we used to have a R5, we used to have a C5 zoning, and, before March of 2003, our old zoning code had a residential 5, it had a commercial 5. Those were eliminated. So, that transition chart or conversion chart is adopted when the code is adopted, and it says, this district don't exist anymore. So all those properties that were zoned that are now going to be zoned this. So it kind of clears that up. And there will be a component of that with this new code as well, because we're going to all new zones. I mean,
Right.
there's, other than
Right.
CTR zoning, all the other zones are going to be called something else. So, having a transition table and really telling people what they're going from and to,
Right.
it's a big deal.
Yeah, we had, a few months ago, we had to do a correction on one that, you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm. Yeah, it
That's all.
happens.
So your permitted use table's not gonna look the same?
It's going to be similar. It's going to have blanks for prohibited uses. It's going to have CU for conditional, and it's going to have Ps for permitted. It's going to be, it's going to look similarly, but the categories are going to be more general. So I forget the exact example that they use, but instead of listing, a barber shop and a massage parlor and listing 15 different things, they can consolidate all of those into a heading called personal service or something like that, because those uses are really very similar. So consolidation is occurring where possible. One of the things that we're gonna have, which we don't have currently, is every use in that table will have a definition. So, you know, for example, we may have something in our chart that says, I mean, just name it. And then you go, okay, well, what does that really mean? So you go to the definitions and there's, you know, it doesn't really say. You know, so you're going to Webster's or whatever and you're saying, well, what does Webster say that this is? So very important, and then they're very sticklers about that. If you have a category in your land use table, you should have a specific definition that says exactly what that use is. So there's a whole section that is just on definitions of items in the use table. But yeah, it'll look very similar. The district names obviously will be different. But formatting wise, it looks like a spreadsheet. It's got columns and rows. So it'll be similar in that regard.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, no further business. I'd like to call for a motion second to adjourn the June 13th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting.
So move.
Second.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
y'all
you all
very
for
much.
being.